First off, let's talk about amperage. Amperage is the amount of electrical flow. And if you're like most people, you're probably thinking, that doesn't mean anything to me. Well, in this case, it's a little bit easier to picture with water. I've got some leaky bucket here with some duct tape, and I've got a hole that is 1/4 inch wide and another hole that's 1/2 inch wide. So which one's going to have the greater amount of electrical flow, or in this case, the greater amount of water flow? Yeah, it should be the one with the larger hole. So let's take a look at the amperage here. Yeah, it turns out this one's got a lot more water flowing through it. There's water coming out of it at a greater rate, so this has got greater amperage. This one's got water coming out of it at a slower rate, which means this has got less amperage. Amperage is the amount of electrical flow. Greater amperage, less amperage. Now let's take a look at voltage. Voltage is the amount of electrical potential energy. And again, if you're like most people, you're probably thinking, that doesn't mean much to me. Well, essentially what it is, remember, potential energy has the potential to do something. And some electricity has greater potential energy and some has less. It's hard to imagine unless we model it with water. So to model it with water, I've got a bucket that's 5 gallons completely full of water, and it's got a hole of 1/4 inch wide. I've got a 1 gallon vessel here, and it's got a same size hole, 1/4 inch wide. Which one is actually going to have the most amount of flow, or the most electrical pressure? In this case, it's probably going to be the one with more water on top. Let's take a look. Now this bucket certainly has a lot more electrical potential energy, or in this case, it's got more potential energy because there's more water on top of it. This one has less electrical potential energy, or less voltage, because there's less water on top of it. So when you really think about it, which one would have the most voltage? This, or this? Take a look behind me. This is a water tower. Imagine hooking up a garden hose to the bottom of this thing. Could you imagine the amount of pressure that would come out of this? There's so much water at such a great height that if you hooked up a garden hose to the bottom of this, all the water trying to be forced out of the garden hose all at once would create that garden hose to explode. Remember, voltage is the amount of electrical potential energy. What does this mean in terms of electricity? Well, that means you can actually live quite a ways away from a power station and still get all the electricity that you need if you have high voltage. If you live pretty far away from a power station and you have low voltage, the electricity is just not going to reach you. So you need to have higher voltage to push the electricity further through the power lines.